Hello, everybody. We have added a new member to our lineup of two.
For our freaking new cast final segment of this week, we have special guest Tyler joining us.
Special guest, special boy.
Yes.
We're going to talk about One Piece 961 and 962 real quick.
I'm very sad that we're getting these kind of big breaks between our chapters and our freaking new cast because I really like to have at least 4. But you know what, Oda? Okay.
Joe, that's all fun and games, but you're not going to have to talk about 2 hours of Worm later tonight. So you know what?
Oh, goodness.
2 chapters is fine.
It's true. Anyways, so in this chapter is basically
it's the resolution of the white boar scenario.
Correct.
And our two boys finally join up with Odin, and they're like, "I'm gonna follow you."
Well, shit, that's the chapter, boys.
Yeah.
On the real, though, this will be a shorter talk than our usual ones because I feel like we're at a point of the story now. We got the introduction out of the way, and we've met Odin. So we're at the point of the story where we're just kind of along for the ride, and I think there's less to comment on in general.
Mm-hmm. This is very much this chapter in particular is a very action heavy chapter in which we have the boar rampaging around. We have Odin talking to Kinemon and Dindro fanboying out. It's a lot of just kind of resolution to an action that's partaking.
Speaking of Denjiro, this confirms that he's a kid here. So our theory that he or his brother could be Zoro's teacher with the big fucking feet.
Yeah,
it lines up. He could be his teacher.
And something later in this chapter will help affirm that. I want to talk about Kinemon real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I've always really liked Kinemon, but watching him realize how his goofs have put his future wife in danger, and watching him get all badass over it, that's the shit I like.
Yeah,
that's some good. I really like this rebellious streak, and I can see why he would devote his life to Odin after this, because Odin pretty much fixes this scenario that could have gone way worse. Thus saving Otsuru in the process.
Yes.
Look at that god of the mountain. He's just gobbling up that entire city.
It's fucking huge.
He ate Suru.
Oh yeah, he does. He straight up eats her, doesn't he?
He does. He's, as they say, he's gobbling up people up in the houses.
It's a good thing that whenever giants eat people in One Piece, they always swallow whole. It's very important that they do. These are not Attack on Titan giants.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Except that time where they do swallow Eren whole.
No, they eat his arm off.
They swallow Armin whole, I think.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. All right.
What
matters
talking about One Piece
is that Odin is holding a baby pig. I really like this back shot of him. The pig comes charging at him, and he does a two-sword style Paradise Waterfall. But to readers of One Piece, you might recognize this as an onigiri.
Yeah.
Wait a second. His sword here, it kind of looks like Zoro's sword, doesn't it?
The whole thing that we're talking about.
Oh shit! Yeah. Yeah. Hey, thank you for joining the Roundabout cast, your number one source of close reading for One Piece. This is Enma. I know the sword, but him doing an onigiri style attack, it could go two ways. One, Araki draws his swordsman doing similar attacks often, but it could be that Denjiro sees him, learns the technique, and teaches Zoro his first technique.
Or Odin ends up teaching Dendro, and then Dendro transfers it on.
Yeah, I mean, same idea, right?
I don't think we've seen anyone else do this kind of thing before. Because
Kinemon has a kind of teleport / style attack where you get lit on flames. He calls it Foxfire, but I think it's one sword.
Mm-hmm.
The pose, though, is very particularly onigiri.
Yes, it's and the way that he sets himself up and the way he positions himself, and it's almost like a counter move that attacks a charge. It's definitely supposed to be like onigiri, and the strength of it as well. And Enma just cuts through everything like it does the mountain.
That's true. I think this is intentional, and I think our theory here, which is a pretty popular theory to be fair, I think it's getting fed.
Statements on the One Piece side of this podcast, only on JoJo Leon.
No what statements?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said no controversial statements on the One Piece.
No,
this
not
podcast.
here. No, sir. So
You
Kinemon.
notice
Oh,
how like after he uses onigiri most of the time, like every time he uses a successful onigiri, like the enemies, like they're always like falling forward and like you just see the whites of their eyes.
Yeah, it's pretty.
You take that panel in the top left of the warthog, it's just like the dead eyes, the falling forward, and everything.
It's true. I wonder though if that's just like a. Yeah, I guess it does happen mostly for onigiris. Like when Luffy punches someone, that's not how they fall. It's usually for the sword style attacks.
Yeah. Which is also kind of like a classic samurai thing, where like you rush past each other, and the guy that gets hit falls over forward.
Yeah.
It even has him looking up after the slash, and you see like the look in his eyes looks a lot like Zoro.
It looks a lot like when Zoro used it the very first time against, I think, Kabaji. No, or like Axe Hand Morgan or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's very reminiscent of that.
I think definitely supposed to be a reference to onigiri and the using the two sword style.
Mother effing One Piece reference. Osuru is saved. Kinemon leaves without asking her for marriage, so that'll probably come later. The disownment is revoked, but
no, that's the end of the next chapter.
Right.
Oh, that's the end of the next chapter.
But most importantly, we see Yasui, which Tyler didn't realize at first. He's the guy who died earlier this arc. He's the man with the hedgehog afro.
He's Sonic.
Back when he wasn't a frail old man who was forced to eat smiles.
Or smiling all the time. Yeah, that's why I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, to be fair. But also we meet Orochi here, which is a big deal.
And
he looks like a little shit. And when you look at Odin and then you look at this twerp, you're like, oh, I can see where this feud started. We can move on to 962 already.
Well, what's even funny is that like Yasuo isn't like being shitty towards Orochi in this whole thing. Yasuo is even like, don't make fun of him. He's the guy he's my manservant. He takes care of me.
Well, in the next chapter, we see that Orochi is stealing and blaming Odin, and Yasui knows. He's looking at him and he's like, Odin's too much of an asshole. He would walk out bragging about it.
Oh, you cut out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did I? Am I alive?
I heard. Yeah.
I was saying that Orochi steals and blames it on Odin in the next chapter, but Yasui knows that it was not Odin because Odin's too much of an asshole to not brag about it. So he knows that Orochi is a piece of crap, and I'm surprised that he was like immediately this bad this early. I want to see how he kind of gets worse and worse as time goes on if we see more of him.
And like that is really interesting because usually there's a breaking point before you start doing all these kind of things, where it seems like Orochi is just a shit.
Yeah, he's just a little twerp. Yeah, I do want to see more of him. So we get like these smash cuts of kind of Odin meeting all of his retainers. Notably, the first one he meets two like cross-dressing dancing brothers. One of which is Okiku, which is the younger brother.
Yeah.
But the older brother is Izo, who is the Okama in Whitebeard's crew.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me pull up a picture of him in case you forgot what he looks like. Cause
I did, so I will need that.
I don't know most of Whitebeard's crew, but I wouldn't know regularly. But because I played the One Piece Treasure Cruise, that's how I know all the characters by name.
Okay.
But, it was this.
Because I was looking at this and like these are for like this is like Kiko, the little brother is definitely Kiko.
Yeah.
Like I knew that for certain. I didn't understand what was going on with Izo here.
Right.
Which could be more interesting considering the Rocks Pirates and everything.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. They're brought up later this chapter too. Izo ended up with Whitebeard, but Okiku didn't. So do you think maybe he gets kidnapped or something in a couple chapters?
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, Odin's about to Odin joins Roger pretty soon. It's safe to say because he travels with Roger on his final trip. There's Izo. We also get to see him meeting Kanjuro, who was just kind of a weirdo who stole people's hair and made paintbrushes with it.
The Goblin of Kibi.
Yeah, that's the traitor right there, I'm telling you. Raizo's even funnier. Raizo is just kind of there.
Yeah.
Like, there's no weirder story to it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got... Okay, so Shootin' Maru / Ashura Doji is drinking snake blood like a monster goblin man.
Yeah.
You can tell this guy was a very different man back in these days.
Unless he's the traitor and hasn't changed.
Nah, what the... Shootin' wouldn't... I don't think he's...
Did you just call him Shikamaru?
Shootin' Maru. That's what he goes by these days.
Well, I know what we're forgetting. Sorry, keep going.
What are we forgetting, Joe?
We're forgetting to add my Naruto to this week's thing.
Oh yeah, you have Naruto. Well, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see what happens. Sorry, you may or may not get Naruto. You'll find out later as you listen to this podcast.
Yes, the big crossover of our One Piece and Naruto listeners.
Sorry, you said Shikamaru or something, and I immediately remembered me.
I really like this portion where kind of Odin is kind of writing in his diary. Or maybe it's the narrator talking. It's kind of like, I feel like it blends from one to the other. No,
it's definitely... Oh, no, it's our play instructor that we see at the end of every act, you know?
Yeah, you're right. But these are his thoughts right now. He goes to this place and he's like, no people should live as, like, weak and grimy as these people are living right now.
Yeah. And
as a result, he resolves to kick all their asses and then say they need him as a king.
Mm-hmm.
Which I really like that. I like that in his travels, when he finally leaves kind of the capital, he kind of runs into these more unfortunate people, and through force, he tries to give them a better life. And I feel like that fits kind of the mythos behind them, where everyone respects him. I feel like that's a reasonable way for him to gain respect over time.
I think motivation for Odin, it seems more and more, is that he is cramped spaces and being able to have room to breathe, you know? And it goes back into that freedom theme of One Piece, of being able to go where you want and not having to be isolated or restricted, which is very much what Wano is.
You know what? I think you're on the money. I'm going to keep my eye out for that. But
because that was the first thing that gets spoken in this flashback from Odin, is that this place is way too cramped. It's the first thing he says.
Okay, well, you just sealed the deal then. Yeah, so keep your eye out then for Odin and the theme of, like, openness and how it relates to freedom.
I bet you there's going to be a moment when he's on the ship with Roger, and it's going to be, like, months later, and, like, the people that he brings, like, that's part of his retinue here, are like, man, this ship is really small and cramped. He's gonna be like, no, this is great. We have enough room for everyone here, kind of deal.
Joe, big fucking call outs right now. That is some Oda ass writing. So I think you might be right on that one.
We'll see what happens.
They kind of make Kuri not a shithole anymore. Gains respect of his dad again.
This is how Odin got his groove back.
Yeah, basically. Which is a movie that I totally have seen.
I haven't either. I haven't seen either. But, like, you get the idea.
Wait, Joe, you haven't seen that movie?
No.
You let me take so much shit for so long, and you also haven't seen that movie.
How Stella got her groove back, or whatever it's called?
Emperor's New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove? Yes, I've seen Emperor's New Groove. I was referencing to another one that's
did I just expose myself to the podcast?
You did.
Well,
your belly is wide open.
At the end of the episode, we see that the Rocks Pirates are on the move, so that's probably in the upcoming chapters. Well, that's exciting. The fact that we get to actually see Roger...
Well, we get a time skip within this flashback. Which is 6 years after that. 6 years after he unites all of Kubi. Or whatever it's called.
Oh, shit, yeah.
So this is 6 years later.
Also, so Kawamatsu has not met with him yet.
Correct.
What is What is babang?
Babang is the sound of a shamasan. It's like that instrument that they play in Japanese plays.
Oh, okay.
In between all the Wano arcs, or like what are they called, acts, you see like a person in a mask playing it.
Mm-hmm. Might be Kiku.
I think no, it's Kamurasaki, I think. or Hiyori, whatever you want to call her. That's One Piece, gang, in record timing.
But like Kawamatsu, and there's these little demon boys that we don't know what they are.
I have no idea. I couldn't even begin to speculate what these little demon boys are.
They're the numbers. They're the tiny numbers that haven't grown up yet.
Oh shit! The numbers.
The numbers.
The numbers are those giant shadow men in Kaido's crew. We saw them a little bit before we went into Act 3.
They're like at the very end when they're saying that everyone's now getting.
Joe will send you the picture as we close out the One Piece segment.
Yeah, I'll find it.
It's either that or that's childhood Kaido, except for the fact that Kaido's in the Rocks Pirate and is an adult.
So he's
Baby Yoda. Sorry.
These Rocks Pirate silhouettes. We got Kaido,
Big Mom.
Big Mom.
When she
is
was
that
hot.
Who that is on the left?
Yeah, Big Mom used to be hot.
Yeah.
I
mean, who's with the hat on?
So that's Whitebeard.
That's Whitebeard.
No. There's two hats. Sorry.
In the back right, I don't know. I don't know if we can tell who that is. Now I have a theory on the left pirate. That's Golden Lion Shiki from one of the One Piece movies.
But it's also a canon character.
He's a canon character, but Luffy only fought him and met him in a
non-canon story.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it's him. Hold on, let me get a picture of him.
So, let's.
He's got fucking sword peg legs.
Him.
It's wild.
Who are our 7 sheaths in present day?
Okay, they're not. They don't exist yet.
Wait, what are you talking about? No. I get what Tyler's asking. If you go to the second to last page, we get to see.
Oh, we have 9 red.
Raizo. Yeah, we have 9. We have 7 out of 9 right now, right?
Yeah. Well, so cat, viper, and dog.
Yeah, cat and dog.
Kawamatsu, which is the.
Okay.
I'm not. Oh God, what is he?
He's a kappa fishman, whatever.
Yeah,
he's kappa. Yeah.
So between this 6 years is when we lose.
No, this is dog, viper, and cat.
We lose Izo.
Oh fuck! It's cat and dog.
Because it's got the floppy ears dogs in the back, and then the pointy ears.
Hey, that's who it'd be.
You know what? I bet everyone figured that out. I didn't see any comments on it.
I didn't realize until I started looking at their ears and noticed that they were different entirely.
That's my contribution today to the cat.
And that's why he's the special guest. All right. One Piece is over, boys.